Hey everyone, and today we are back with another video. And today we're going to be going over an update basically to a video I did probably about over a year ago now on RetroArch, which is probably a bit out of date now. That video is quite a bit's changed on RetroArch. They've made it a bit more user friendly, although still for someone coming to the program fresh it's probably still a bit overwhelming. So what I'll do is just a quick overview to get you guys up and running in loading the cores, in this case the emulators, and loading games into each emulator. So the first thing you want to do is you go to your search engine and type in libretro, which will then bring up for Google, brings up this page. If you click on the top link, which should just be libretro.com, along the top line here, click on RetroArch, and then to downloads. Basically 1.7 come out a few days ago. I think it came out on the 26th of December 2017, and I'm on Windows, so here this will basically be a Windows, a guide for Windows. You've got a couple of options here. You've got installers, and you've got downloads, depending on what, if you're on a 32-bit system or 64-bit system. I tend to usually just download the files, so click on that, and that will start the download off. I've already downloaded this already. Just create a folder and then copy the files from the zip file to your folder, which I've named in this case RetroArch, even. And you want to scroll down here to the exe file, double click that, and this will load up. This is the first thing you'll see the first ever time you load RetroArch up. As you notice at the moment it's windowed, so if we push F on the keyboard to bring it to full screen, you will get a full screen image. This menu can be used with either a keyboard using the cursor keys up, down, left and right. You push enter to enter a menu, or backspace to go back a menu, but you can also use a pad. I've got a Xbox One pad which I'll just turn on now, which should give me indication at the bottom of the screen. Yep, there you go, Xbox One controller detected in the bottom left there. And now I can use the Xbox pad to navigate the menu. A's enter a menu and B's back. There's a couple of things you want to do first before you download any emulators or cores or load any games. Is basically you want to make your preset settings, so each time you load RetroArch it loads these settings in. There's only a few settings I change really. Basically if you move left down and then go down to video, there's an option down here that it depends on what system you've got. I've got quite a beefy system. What I tend to do is this hard GPU sync option I turn on, because it's apparently supposed to reduce latency, although I haven't really noticed any input lag with it using the controller if this is on or off. But I just turn it on because it's been recommended to. And for me, I turn bilinear filtering off because this causes a kind of like a blurry effect to the graphics. The next setting I change is in input, and I change max users down to 2 because I only ever have 2 people playing this at the same time. And another one I do, as I'm using an Xbox pad, you can set a button combination to bring this menu up when you're in a game, and I set that to clicking both the analog sticks in, so L and R3. So if I click both of them in, it will bring me to this menu in game. And other than that, everything should be pretty much as you want it. In order for these settings to take effect, we need to quit RetroArch. All we do again now is load it back up again, and those settings would have been saved. Now, in order to get emulators, or as are known in RetroArch, cores, working, we need to download them. And in order to do that, we can do this for the program if we go down to Online Updater and Core Updater. And now this is the list of the emulators that RetroArch can use. As you can see, it's quite a few. But what we'll do, we'll just download a few. We download an NES one, NES. The best one here, as you notice, there's a few different cores for each system. Best one for NES is Dystopia. We download that one. We download a Game Boy Advance one. Again, there's a few different ones here. I think MBGA is a good one, so I'm going to use that one. And PlayStation Beetle, that's quite a good one. And finally, let's do PSP. And as you can see at the bottom there, it's telling you that they're downloaded and they're downloaded. Right, now, next course of action is to actually load one of the cores we've just downloaded. And as you see in the bottom left at the moment, it tells you what version of RetroArch it is, and currently there's no cores loaded. So if we click on Load Core, and let's pick the Famicom NES core. Now you'll see at the bottom left it says it's loaded the Dystopia core. Now we want to load a game. So I've already copied a few games to a folder on my computer. So basically we go down to Load Content, and I'm going to just quickly browse to that folder, which is in the C drive, and it's in ROMs. And I've got a few games in here for different systems, but Shatterhand is an NES game, so we click on that. Now it will bring up another option, which is Browse Archive or Load Archive. Basically, because it's a zip file I'm loading, I can choose to look inside that zip folder if I wanted to, or just load the zip file complete. 9 times out of 10 you're just going to want to load the archive. So we click on Load Archive. That's now loaded Shatterhand. And if I push start on the control pad, all the buttons should be already predefined for the system, for the NES pad. And should work as is. It does. A's jump, A's punch even, B's jump. But as you'll notice at the moment, it's not really looking like an old game would on a CRT display. But with the joys of RetroArch, we can make it a little more authentic. So if I click both analog sticks in on the control pad, or F1 on the keyboard, now we're always taken to this quick menu screen. And if we go down to Shaders, down to Load Shader Presets, and we go to Shaders CG, and here is all different categories of shaders. What we want is CRT. Click in CRT, and probably one of the best ones I find is this one here, CRT Aperture. Click on that. Now you'll notice the screen behind, it's changed it to have scan lines and look like a CRT screen. So we go up to Apply Changes, click a button to apply the changes. And one very important thing we probably want to do is, if we're going to be loading up loads of different systems, is we want to save this emulator preset. So basically what this means, if every time we load this core, this emulator, this Dystopia core, it's going to load this shader. And so we want to click down here and save core presets. So what this should mean is, if we load another emulator, it won't apply this filter to that emulator. We go back now, push B again, or just click both analog sticks in. And as you can see now, to me that looks a lot more pleasing. Got nice scan lines on it and looks more like a CRT display. Right, now we've done that, to quit a game, if you click both sticks in on the control pad or push F1 on the keyboard, and then go to quick menu, we can we either restart the game, resume the game, or close the game. So we close the game, and if we push B or backspace on the keyboard, we're back to this menu again now. So let's load another core. So let's load Game Boy Advance. Now the Game Boy core is loaded. Load content, down to our ROM folder again, and down to a Game Boy Advance game, which is in this case Gunstar Superheroes. Again, load archive. And you'll notice here, it's got the last CRT shader we applied in the other game. So we need to apply a new shader to this game, because at the moment it doesn't really look like a Game Boy Advance game. So if we bring up the menu again, down to shaders, and RetroArch has a nice feature where it will actually load like a graphic of an actual Game Boy Advanced system, and then add the game to that. So it looks quite neat. So let's load Emulator Presets. Down to CG again. Now we will, instead of going to CRT this time, we want to go to Handheld, Console Borders, and here we have Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, and Game Boy Advance. So if we click that, and now we notice we've got a little Game Boy Advance. Apply changes, and then again, don't forget to save core presets. So now, when we've done that, each time we load this core, it will now load this shader and not load a shader from the previous game. As you notice, the first time we loaded this Game Boy Advance emulator up, it had the previous shader we loaded in the NES game. Just make sure you push save core presets, and that won't happen in the future. So apply changes, quit out this, click both analog sticks in. Now we've got a nice looking Game Boy Advance with, and the screen actually looks like a Game Boy game, which is super neat. It really does actually look like a Game Boy game. Quite tough manuals. Again, if you want to quit this game, click both analog sticks in, push quick menu, close content. Now we've got two games loaded. If we move right a few spaces to history, you'll notice it's got the last two games we loaded. So if we load Shatterhand again, click run, it's now loaded it with the CRT shader we had before. Again, if we close content again, go back, load Gunstar Heroes, run, it will now load the Game Boy Advance shader we've applied to the screen, which is really cool. Before, there's a lot of issues with shaders getting conflicted with different emulators, but that doesn't happen anymore thanks to that. Thanks to this shader option. Save core presets. So every time you've got your shader as you wanted, before you close the game, that emulator, make sure you save core presets. You can also do it on a per game basis. So for whatever reason, if you had a game that you wanted a completely different shader applied to, you could do that thanks to this save game preset. But I don't really use that. I just set a shader to one emulator and that's it. So let's close that content. Let's load one more. Right, we're going to do PlayStation. If we load the core now, some emulators will need BIOS files. So if you have a game or an emulator that doesn't work for whatever reason, you load it and nothing happens, it's probably because it needs a BIOS file. I think the Sega Saturn needs one, PlayStation, PSP, they need certain BIOS files. If we go down to information here, go to core information, it will usually tell us somewhere along here. See, it says here we're missing a couple of BIOS files that are needed. I've basically already downloaded these, but these need to be copied to the system folder in the RetroArch folder. So if I change this to a window, this is the RetroArch folder with all the files in. If we go to system, we need to copy BIOS files to this system. As I said, I've downloaded these already. So these three here are the PlayStation BIOS files we need. If we go back to RetroArch again, make that full screen, we back out here again and go back in, hopefully, yeah, it says they're present now. where if we tried to load it without those being present, the game wouldn't load. So if we now load content, scroll to our ROM folder again. PlayStations will usually have a Q file. Now again, because we haven't set up a shader for this core, because it's a fresh core we just loaded, it will load the previous core from the one which just loaded before, but that's easily sorted out. Just again, go to the menu, down to shaders, load shader presets, down to CRT aperture, apply changes, save core. Don't forget to save core presets again. So each time it's going to load this shader for this core. Save that, apply changes, back out, and now we'll have a nice CRT shader in here. To me, that looks a lot better. That does.
Your fighter, Big Viper. Shield. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that one. Lastly, let's try one more game. Close content. Okay. Right. So let's do PS. Now, at the moment, there's an issue with PSP and shaders. So I'm going to have to, before we load up the PSP game, I'm going to have to remove the shaders, otherwise it won't work. Just get like a blank screen and just sound and no picture. So don't really take any notice of this. Just if you're going to load a PSP shader, I'll show you how to do that in a minute. One other thing, this is another system that needs a couple of files, which is that one there, which you can get from the it tells you where to get it from the RetroArch wiki page on the PSP section. It'll tell you where to get them. There's a few files. As I said, I've already downloaded them, so again they go in the system folder. So it's basically this PSP folder here, and these two folders on one file. We copy that, pop it in the system folder, in the RetroArch folder again, in there. Back to full screen for this one. Back there again, and it's saying now present. Incorrect. So yeah, you need those parse files, otherwise it won't work properly. The PSP emulator. Load content. Down to my ROM folder again. Retracer. And again, you'll look at this and think this doesn't look anything like a PSP game. It's all blocky. We can sort that out with shaders again, but this time, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's an ongoing issue or it's just a bug at the moment. If you're going to load shaders with this PSP emulator at the time of recording this, make sure you pick the GLSL shader types, not the CG ones, because otherwise it won't work. You'll just get a blank screen. Down to handheld, down to console borders, then all the way down the bottom to PSP times 5. It's times 5. Yeah, times 5. A bit big actually. Go times 4. A bit smaller. You can actually see the. There you go. It's better. Save core presets. Apply changes. Color. You can say that looks a lot better.
Ridge Racer. Starting Ridge Racer.
This was such a good game for the PSP as well. So it's Japanese.
Proceed with above choices.
Yep.
Ridge Racer World Tour.
So we can get the quick race quickly.
Get ready to race.
I can feel that this race is gonna be really hot.
Yeah, getting this on the PSP when I first got the PSP, because I got a Japanese import PSP. It's just incredible having something like this in your hand.
Looks like you got a good start. Can you keep your lead? 3 laps to go.
It still looks good on a big screen when you apply the shader to it. You think, I've got a 27-inch screen and this looks alright. What's the proper hardware? 4-inch screen. So this blown up 10 times bigger thanks to the shader that's applied. It still looks alright. Anyway, close that down. We'll have one more game. We'll do Sega Saturn, because that's another one that needs a BIOS file. I don't think I downloaded that, did I? Core Updater, Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn. Make sure you get the Beetle version, not this Yabusu one, whatever it's called. Get the Beetle one. Downloaded. Load that core. Sega Saturn. And if we go down to information, it will tell you that it's missing these two files. It needs Sega 101 and MPR 17933. It needs them too. So again, luckily I've got them already, which are these two files here. Copy them over to the system folder. Again, if you just search Google for those files, you'll find a link to them. Now they're in there. Full screen, back in, and they're present and correct. So now that will work. And as before, what will happen now, as soon as I load a game, it will apply the PSP shader that I just had. So we have to obviously set a shader for the Sega Saturn core. See, it's applied that. If you don't want, so again, bring up the menu, down to shaders, load shader presets. Now we can go back to using shaders CG. You only have to use GLSL for whatever the issue was with the PSP emulator. Down to CRT. I'm just using this for an example. You might find one of these other CRT shaders down there, you might find ultimately better for you, but for me it's got to be CRT aperture. That's the one I think looks most pleasing. Select that, save core preset, so it saves it to the core, so each time I load the core it's going to load that shader. Apply changes, double click both analog sticks to go back up the menu, back to the game. Sega! Start. You're not interested in that for this purpose of this video. What you got? This looks pretty good actually as well, next to this shader. Fine. Have some fun with it. Yeah. Whoa. Hell's that? Old chase, hell. Eat it. Also in front of me. Yeah, that works perfectly as well. Again, if you ever want to close content, down to close, or you can restart, close content again, go back up, and the last couple of games I played are all here now. So if you want to quickly go back to them, and each time I should do this now. Now I've saved the core presets. Each time I load it, it should load the correct shader. Yep, that's correct. Close content. Load Refresh 2. Load the PSP, yep. Alright. Close content. Finally, Shadowhand, which should load the CRT shader again. There you go. So yeah, that's pretty much a quick setup guide to getting a RetroArch up and running with some nice looking shaders. I hope this helps some of you guys out, and I'll see you next time.